come visit beautiful Gaza. With its stunning beaches and charming boardwalks, you can stay in one of our 5-star hotels and get a taste of the best in Middle Eastern food. Embrace the vibrant nightlife of the city and experience a culture rich in tradition that... This is what Gaza could have been like without Hamas.
I screwed up.
No kidding.
I can't find it.
Mamma
I can't find it. Where is it?
It's right here. All right. Well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition, on-time edition of the Crossing the Crescent discussion group. This is a show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. We are broadcasting live from the depths of the Kafir Cave here in Dar al-Harb, Kafiristan, every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're here normally for about 2 hours, sometimes longer, and sometimes shorter, especially if our stream is cut like it was last week. But,
Actually,
that's system.
Can I break in here?
Yes, go ahead.
An announcement. For those of you who know, we are also streaming on Rumble. So if the stream gets taken down on YouTube, check out the Rumble link that Eric posted. Okay? Go to that. That's the backup.
And it
or
should be
also
pinned
on Twitter.
It should be pinned at the top of the YouTube page. Now, at the beginning of the show, Brad asked, where is the link? Where is the link for the show intro? And we were having a discussion at the beginning before we got here. And I asked Brad, I said, you got to delete some of these videos. There's way too many here and it can be kind of confusing. Thank you for the example of why we need to clean that mess up, because we had like 40 or 50. I don't know how many videos you got in there, but we have way too many.
I'll work on it.
All right, we need to clean that up. But that's quite all right. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. Okay, we're going to get right to the point. I have been advised that on Facebook we cannot refer to other human beings as swine. For an example, as a certain imam out of Texas likes to refer to people who come to the Cross and the Crescent discussion group as the swine of humankind, we would never do that. We are not going to do that. However, if you look at the title of the show today, what was the title of the show today? Can somebody read that for me? I don't have it up in front of me. That's all right. I'll find it. No problem. Today's title for today's show is UNRWA, Swine, and Their Corruption of Human Decency. Okay, and what I'm referring to when I talk about the UNRWA swine, I'm not necessarily talking about human beings. I'm talking about the organization itself, the anti-Semitic pig type attitude that permeates the said organization. So when we start referring to UNRWA, we're referring to the United Nations Relief Workers Association or group or whatever the heck it is called. Yeah, thank you, Nico. I didn't see that. So it's, what does UNRWA stand for? United Nations Relief Workers Association or group or something like that? What is that? Is that, do they have it like in Swahili or something that I don't even, a language I don't speak here, or I don't even know what it is. It doesn't matter.
I believe the R is refugee, but I'm going to double check that.
I think you're right. United Nations Refugee
Relief and Works Agency.
Relief and Works Agency. There we go. Okay.
And this agency exists for the sole purpose of declaring people who never leave home as refugees.
Yes. You are a permanent refugee, meaning that you can never be anything other than a refugee. Refugees are normally, relocated. And that's why they are called, refugees.
They have to leave their country, number one, and they have to fear persecution if they return. So that's, if you don't have those two things, you are not legally a refugee unless the UN has classified you as a refugee.
Right. And the thing with this organization is their sole existence. Their existence is to perpetuate or continue the refugee status of this so-called Palestinian people or their plight, because if they no longer have Palestinian people that are refugees, then they're out of business and they will no longer get, hold on, let me put it up here on the screen. I did it last week. I don't think, whoops, wrong button. I don't think I got to the end of this last week, so I'm going to go ahead and point this out. Here is their annual budget for 2022, or the total amount of money that was pledged to them. Can you guys see that? Is that too small, or can you see that? Let me see here. That makes it bigger. That would be 1.1 billion. That's a billion, folks. Or no, that's not trillion. That's not a trillion, is it? Let's see.
That's a billion.
100,000, 100 million. Yeah, it's a billion. $1.1 billion.
1.2 billion. It's 1.174. It's
round up.
1.2.
Yeah, and the United States' contribution to that hot mess is like 1/3 of it, or 1/4 of it anyway. That's 300 million. That's what the United States pledged to them. Thank you, Joe. Bite me. Can I refer to him as a swine or no? I don't. Can I do that?
I don't know. Is he a protected people?
He's getting to be. He's
a senior citizen above the age of, too much. Too old. He's above the age of too old.
Yeah, going to the old folks' home. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it. So today I wanted to talk more about UNRWA and what has come out about them. Here is a story that was printed in the Jerusalem Post about the participation of the UNRWA employees in the October 7th massacre. And here you have more than 30 documented cases of UNRWA employees actually participating in the massacre. This is where they have actually went in and killed people. You have UNRWA people going in and killing people. You have UNRWA people. It's all. I mean, they got the mug shots of these guys. These people are members of UNRWA, the United Nations. This is the United Nations. Now, United Nations, folks, if you don't know this, is supposed to be an impartial participant in providing relief to the Palestinian people. But yet their own employees have gone in and participated in the October 7th attacks. 30. This is what they know. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know how many other ones participated, but they know that there was at least 30 people that worked for UNRWA that participated in these attacks. Now, this right here, I believe this is showing where they made a attack. Hold on. You can't see it. You know why you can't see it? Because I don't have it up on the screen, moron. Sorry. Here we go. Here we go. Of course, I'm getting the wheel of death.
You pause and
No,
that should
play. It's paused. Let me reload it. Let me just reload the page. Reload the page. It'll come back up. Where'd it go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Here we are.
the top.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have documented participation of UNRWA in the attacks on October 7th. But that's not all. I mean, especially when you're talking about, an organization that has, I'm not sure how many the people they have working for them in Gaza or all over. I've heard upwards of 10,000 people. I'm willing to be wrong on that. But I've heard that they've had 10,000 people. So if you have, 30 participating in terrorist attacks, that might be something that's, I don't want to, I'm not condoning it. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'll say I'm not condoning the attacks or the participation. But when you work closely with the people group, you have this, this symbiotic type relationship that goes on. And a lot of times that relationship can cross, or the lines between what you should be doing in this relationship can become blurred. So I understand that. I get it. All right, no problem. But 30 people, that's still a number that you need to take and consider. These people took part in the attacks, even if they're helping this guy, this terrorist, this guy that got shot. Even if what the heck is an ambulance doing out there on the gate, for Pete's sake? What in the heck? Why are you there to begin with?
It's solely for Hollywood. The whole thing probably wasn't real.
What do you mean by that? I don't understand.
That guy probably wasn't shot. It was probably a setup for Hollywood.
You think they would have been more discerning if it was, because why would you implicate your own people? And it doesn't matter. This is the footage that we have. The second thing is that we have widespread participation. Here, let me bring this one up. Because it isn't just, participating in the attacks itself. This booklet, you can go to UNRWA Watch, or UN Watch, UNWatch.org, and you can download this pamphlet here. It's not very long, but it details UNRWA's participation in Hamas's October 7th attacks, and their not the condemnation, but their, what's the word I'm looking for, where they did condemn it, but they are embracing it. They are
3,000 teachers
condoning. There's the word, condoning. It's right here. 3,000. You're right. 3,000
They are teachers. Then that's
teachers.
the important thing to think about.
Yeah, here we go. At the same time, asking salaries will be paid. Okay, so here you got this report details how UNRWA teachers in a 3,000-member UNRWA staff Telegram group cheered and celebrated Hamas's October 7th massacre. And at the same time asking, are we going to get paid this month? UN Watch has exposed over 150 staff members' Facebook pages that contain anti-Semitism and incitement to jihad, terrorism, and blatant violation. And also, I would also say that that's in direct violation of Facebook policy. I would hope if they're going to take me down for calling people from UNRWA a bunch of swine. I mean, that's you're going to take my post down for calling people from UNRWA swine, or not allow us to post or advertise in groups because of that. But at the same time, you're not going to take these people's posts down for praising the October 7th massacre and slaughter of human beings, of Jewish humans, and their anti-Semitic. Are you kidding me? Yep. This is
Jews are not protected because only Muslims are allowed to be protected.
You're right. Yeah, and the Jews only make up what, 9 million people, 12 million people on the planet, and Muslims supposedly make up 1.9 billion or 2 billion people. But they need to be protected from them Jews. You see, them evil Jews. Okay. Anybody have anything they want to add to that? Because I have a couple other things that I want to. Let's see here. Here is
the only thing I can think of adding is to remember that these people are teachers and that they do teach students to hate Jews by deceiving them, and it's just horrible things that they're doing to make the children hate.
Yeah, I wonder if some of these trolls, people that troll this show, have written to the school board there in Gaza to see if they can get those teachers fired for teaching their kids to hate another people group. I wonder, I'd like to see those emails. Oh, wait. That's right. Yeah.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we should do that. We should do that. Yeah. We should, maybe we can get,
ask them, so where are your emails? You know, you were so busy, emailing and sending all these messages about this teacher, teaching hate in his classroom, even though you don't have any proof of it. Hey, why aren't you, when we actually have the proof, why aren't you asking for them to be dismissed? Oh, could you, because you're a hypocritical pig. I can't say it. Okay, whoa. You're not a pig. You are somebody who is practicing behaviors that are consistent with the
swine of the Dawa kind.
Right.
Swine of the Dawa.
I don't know. Can we say that? Can we? I mean,
yes, we can.
Can we, the swine of the Dawa kind? Okay. I just want to make sure, because I'm kind of a rule follower, sorta, and I don't want to break any rules here. Okay, let's go ahead and continue this. Now, let's start taking a look at UNRWA's connection to Hamas. We've spent a lot of time on this show connecting CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, to Hamas, showing that the CARE individuals are just as complicit in terrorism and the perpetuation of terrorism against the Jewish state as the people of Hamas, because they provide them cover. They provide them legal cover. When we look at Hamas is fired. Does anybody know how many rockets Hamas has fired into Israel since October 7th? Do we have a number on this? Anybody know? Can somebody Google that? Maybe pop it in chat for me. Yeah, you're actually.
Like in the tens of thousands.
I think it's 8,000. I'm willing to be wrong on that. I think it's 8,000. They're teaching children to hate the Jews as they indoctrinate them, right? With their, and this is where you're not getting an education. You're being indoctrinated. This is what they do in madrasas. We've actually showed videos of them taking kids during like their summer camps. You know, we'll send the kids to a summer camp was, you know, it's a basketball camp or a church camp or something, and they go out and go fishing, they go swimming, you know, they have campfires and, you know, they sing songs. Not these guys. They teach them how to set up claymore mines, how to disassemble, reassemble AK-47s or Kalashnikov, you know, or how to, you know, get a good tight shot group with an AK-47, and it's sick what they teach these kids to do. And then these kids grow up, and we're so shocked that they're, you know, walking through kibbutzes in Israel, practicing the same tactics that we saw them being taught in these summer camps. Boy, why are we shocked? Why are we surprised? But to show that UNRWA is complicit with the Hamasholes, I have some videos here. Let's see here.
Hey,
Okay. Hold
Eric?
on. Yep. Go ahead.
I'm going to post a link in the chat.
Yep.
It said over 11,000, and that was from January.
Okay, put that in private chat. Private chat. Yeah. And I'll bring it up.
I believe
okay.
she's reading the same article I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Times of Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The war in Numbers, 9,000 Hamas members. What is this dated? This is dated 14 January. So this is over a month old. Okay, we'll get to that here in a minute. Let's bring this up. Oops. Did I miss something? I did miss something. Let's, oh my gosh, come on, you. Do this right. Share screen. Nope. Here we go. Okay, so this is an UNRWA school, and you have these tunnels that these guys built. They run right underneath the schools themselves. And it shows the route of the tunnel and how it runs right underneath and is interconnected to all kinds of I'm sorry, there's no sound here. To the UNRWA facilities, and how these tunnels are they have full electricity, and they have to have electricity because you have to have a minimum of lights, but you also have to have air pumped into them, or you would suffocate. Here are the batteries. Okay, electrical room, very good. So you have all this infrastructure. But look where this infrastructure is located. Is this one that's in the, let's see, show the location of a tunnel under UNRWA's main headquarters. Okay, folks, hold on. Stop this, Kafir. Where is my mouse? There we go. Okay, folks. This tunnel runs right underneath UNRWA's headquarters in Gaza. It runs right underneath it. And you're going to see how UNRWA's headquarters, here in just a minute, how UNRWA's headquarters was pumping electricity into the Hamas. You can't make this up. Watch this. Okay, so they're in the middle of the compound. The tunnel comes right up in the middle of the UNRWA compound, folks. You can't make that stuff up. And this, and then look at, so you had all kinds of, the internet from Hamas was facilitated by UNRWA in the mainframe in UNRWA's. You can't make that kind of stuff up. No guns in the UNRWA headquarters, of course. No guns. See if that one works out for you. You can't make that up. Let's see, rental headquarters. Where was this other one? I think this was it. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get this to play. I don't know if I can. Present, share screen. There we go. Share. Okay.
אנחנו יכולים לראות איך למעשה אונר"א מאפשר לחמאס לעשות שימוש בתשתיות של המטה הראשי של אונר"א ברצועת עזה. אנחנו יכולים לראות איך למעשה אונר"א מאפשר לחמאס לעשות שימוש בתשתיות שלו. אני רוצה להראות לכם את הדברים מבפנים. חדר שהפך להיות חדר של חמאס שבו הוא שוהה, ופה אתם יכולים לראות ממש מטענים, ולצד המטענים אפודים, מערכות קשר שנצפו, חומרי חבלה למיניהם, מערכות חבלה, אפודי נפץ, מטענים, מערכות הפעלה, מדים וציוד לחימה, מכשירי קשר. עוד נקודה אחת מעניינת, זה אמור לשמש, המתקן הזה אמור לשמש את החמ"ל, פשוט ניתק את כל המכשירי הקלטה שלו ואת כל מערכות התקשורת שלו, כדי לא להשאיר אפילו זכר אחד לשימוש שהוא מאפשר לחמאס לעשות בתשתיות שלו. כל ה-DVRים וכל המצלמות, פשוט ניתקו את הכל, אפילו את השלטים הם סילקו מפה כדי שלא נוכל להזדהות ולא נוכל לדעת. בתוך הארון שקית עם רימונים מוכנים לשימוש ועוד מחסנית, וזה לצערי מה שאונר"א מאפשר לחמאס לעשות בתשתיות ובמתקנים.
I don't know. It just kind of leaves you speechless when you come with such overwhelming and damaging evidence for UNRWA. I mean, the connection here is just it's frightening to think that a United Nations organization, which is supposed to be a world organization dedicated to preserving the security and the rights of individuals across the globe for everybody. And when you go in and you see that the people that work for this organization are actually being enablers for a terrorist organization, providing them the infrastructure, providing them the security. I mean, they provided them internet, for crying out loud. And then this is what UNRWA is, at least as smart as the Nazis were. They're going in and they damaged or they destroyed all of the evidence, or whatever evidence that they could, as quickly as they could, of their complicity. So they went and they cut out all the lines that they possibly could as fast as they could, so they wouldn't look like they're guilty. But the obvious conclusion of this is that they're guilty of enabling Hamas and cooperating with Hamas. And yet they want to scream bloody murder when countries cut off their millions of dollars that they freely give them to spend on their people to better the environment for the people, when they see that this is not happening, and that this and see what is happening. Yeah, you're going to lose support really quick. So UNRWA, of course, is going to want absolutely going to want this shut down.
Yeah, but check what Nicodemus put in the YouTube chat. That's just sick.
Yeah.
About the sleeping bags.
I didn't look which one was it say?
It said, for example, they had a warehouse full of donated sleeping bags that they refused to distribute, leading to a Islamic riot.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're against their own people too.
Well, this is if you get on Twitter, you have all kind. My Twitter feed is full of nothing but support Palestine. This is genocide, and it's because of the groups that I belong to on Twitter. I don't get on Twitter all that much, but this is what I see. And I was either this morning or yesterday morning. I woke up and there's this young Palestinian girl, this girl from Gaza. She's holding this empty tin pan. It's like a round tin pan and it's like she's crying for food. And then yet it says they're being purposely starved, which is a lie. And we all know this is a lie. As a matter of fact, if you get in, you follow ILTV on YouTube, they have daily briefings about how many trucks that they process through the checkpoints, bringing aid in. And they keep saying that they're not at capacity for inspection, because they want to inspect the truck. They don't want a truckload of, rocket launchers going through the checkpoint to go into the area. So they're inspecting all the trucks to make sure that it is aid. And they're still not at capacity. They said that they could almost double the amount of aid going into Gaza and still provide enough inspection so this aid could freely come in. The problem is that just as soon as the aid gets into Gaza, Hamas steals it from its citizens, so it can feed its soldiers, causing the citizens to starve. So this is the problem. The problem is not getting enough aid. The problem is not the Israelis intentionally starving these people from Gaza. The problem is the Hamasholes are stealing this to feed their own soldiers, so their soldiers can live large in these tunnels while hiding from the IDF, and their own citizens serve as shields for them. I mean, it's like a world that is upside down. It really is. Soldiers should be there protecting the people. The people are the ones that should be in the tunnels being protected from the IDF, attacks on the Hamas. But it's flipped. It's like going to bizarro world, and then the whole world's like, oh, look at them evil, Israel. It's crazy what is being done in Gaza today. I don't know what else. I don't know what else you can say about something like this. Is when you have tunnels running under the headquarters of the United Nations from a terrorist organization. And then you're pretending like, oh, we didn't say anything. And it's the same thing with these 3,000 teachers, these 3,000 UNRWA teachers. And UNRWA says, well, we didn't know this. The heck you didn't. They've been told for years what a bunch of anti-Semitic swine-like creatures their teachers act like. Notice I threaded that one. I think I did a pretty good job of threading that one. This is what their teachers do. Their teachers are complicit in who saturates their videos with their suspect fundraising ads. That's exactly what they're doing. I'm sorry, Nico. Let me put this up here. Their teachers indoctrinate the kids in their schools, and then Hamasholes come into those schools, launch rockets from those schools at Israel, and then get all butthurt when Israel responds by shooting down their rockets or returning fire onto the location from which they launched the rocket. Nobody says anything about Hamas launching the rocket from a school, which is a direct violation of the Geneva Accords. But nobody's complaining about that. I would like to know, when are these people going to be punished? When exactly is that going to happen? When are these people going to be brought to justice? When are they going to have trials in The Hague for the real perpetrators of crimes against humanity? When is this going to happen? Who's going to lead this investigation? Who's going to lead this prosecution of these known criminals, these demonstrable criminals? I can promise you that it's not going to happen. That's how anti-Semitic these pigs are. These swine-like creatures. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Okay, let's change gears here. I'm going to change gears here. I want to go to Australia. Oh, no, let's go to Australia. We got we got a guy that's on Memory TV that is advocating. Do I even have this? Yes, this Friday's sermon by Australian Imam Abdul Salam Zaud with jihad is the only solution when it comes to the infidels. And that would be you and I. Jihad is the only solution for us. So let's take a look and see what this guy has to say. Oops, there we go. Of course. Here we go.
أنه لا حل إلا بالجهاد في سبيل الله والجهاد ماض إلى قيام الساعة فلا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا الخلفاء الراشدون ولا الدولة الأموية ولا العباسية ولا غيرهم فتحوا العالم بالسلم ولا بالمفاوضات ولا بالتنازلات ولا بالتفاهمات ولا العباسية ولا غيرهم.
Watch what he says here. Watch this.
فتحوا العالم بالسلم ولا بالمفاوضات ولا بالتنازلات ولا.
He admits none of them conquered by peaceful means, negotiations, concessions, or understanding.
بالتفاهمات وإنما فتحوها بالجهاد في سبيل الله وليس القصد من الجهاد في سبيل الله قتل الناس ولا الاستيلاء على أراضيهم إنما القصد من الجهاد تذليل العقبات من أجل أن ينتشر الدين ويحكم الإسلام.
Okay, so in other words, the goal of jihad is to remove the barriers that prevent Sharia from spreading in a land, which means is that the armies that protected citizens from not Hamasholes, but from jihadists who would impose Sharia on them, armies that protected citizens against the death penalty for criticizing Muhammad. We remove all those barriers so Sharia can be. Notice he just threaded that perfectly. That was a great way to do that. Let's listen to some more of this guy.
هذا المقصود من القتال والجهاد لأعداء الدين أن يدفع شرهم عن الدين وأن يذب عن دين الله الذي خلق الخلق له حتى يكون هو العالي على سائر الأديان. فما بالك إذا كان هذا الجهاد جهاد دفع الصائل المعتدي ولا حل مع الكفار إلا بالجهاد في سبيل الله.
Right there. Jihad for the sake of Allah is the only solution when it comes to the kafirs.
فالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما فتح البلاد إلا بالجهاد. لا تحلموا أن يرجع.
Okay, notice he conquered nations only through jihad. How this is so backwards. You have this guy admitting that Muhammad and Islam spread only through jihad, only through war, only through the sword. How did Christianity spread? How did Christianity? I get it. You want to go, oh, look at all that. The colonizers went out and colonized and spread Christianity. Oh, contraire, for Christianity spread through the proselytization into all throughout North Africa, all throughout into Asia, all throughout Europe before they went out colonizing. It had spread through almost the entire world, with the exception of North and South America, of course. Almost through the entire world had heard the gospel and had accepted the gospel of Jesus Christ through proselytization, not through forced conversions. This is the exact opposite right here.
رجعوها بالمفاوضات والله الذي لا إله إلا هو لا ولن ترجع فلسطين إلا بالجهاد في سبيل الله وهؤلاء لا يفهمون إلا منطق القوة. انظر الآن كيف ينطوا من أمريكا إلى الدول العربية من دولة إلى أخرى. نرجوكم وحماس على مهلها والمقاومة على مهلها ينتظرون ردها. متى وصلت هذه الأمة القوة إلا بالجهاد. فأراد الله تعالى بهذه الأحداث أن يبين لنا أن الحل بالجهاد في سبيل الله.
All right, enough of that. Okay, so if you have any doubt of what it says right here in Reliance of the Traveler, as far as what the purpose of jihad is, this guy just said it better than what they could in that book. He tells us exactly the purpose of jihad, and that is the only solution for the infidel, which is to kill us. Okay. Does anybody have anything that they want to add to this? You guys are kind of silent today. I wonder what the heck is going on here. Maybe
I said they're just reading from a script.
Who's
they
reading?
Don't actually believe what they're saying, but they have to say it. And on the other hand, some people do believe.
You think
No.
that this guy's reading from a script? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it looks like. He's looking down and then.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, of course, he's reading from a script. Yeah, yeah. Naturally, this guy. I mean, when you're making a sermon like that, I guess I'm not sure if this is a political statement that he was making in a mosque, or if this was a Friday prayer or whatever the heck it was. Yeah, he's gonna read that. That's gonna be scripted, but scripted to make sure that he stays on point and says, and it goes directly in accordance with what the Sharia says. And that's exactly what it says. It says that the purpose of jihad is to spread Islam, and adding in that fact that it's to break down whatever barriers there are to the spread of the Sharia. That makes all the sense in the world. All right. I was listening to one of our friends here, Avery, over at God Logic. Do you guys listen to him? I'm sure most of you do.
I do.
Yeah, he is the guy is phenomenal. And I was listening to one of his shows this week. He was interacting with a Muslim, and they were talking about Muhammad. Now hold on, let me I have this on my PowerPoint. My goodness. I know you're all excited. Eric's got a PowerPoint again. Let's see it. We are right there. There we go. Okay. So, I forgot to do my introductory slides here. Okay. This segment that we're going to talk about is disgusting scripture from Allah. We'll talk about Islamic destruction of their history towards the end of the show. But what I want to do is I want to focus on disgusting scripture from Allah right now. And when I'm speaking about, I know a lot of us will think about, okay, so we're going to go to Bukhari, or we're going to go to Muslim, and we're going to go ahead and take our best shot, at Muhammad once again, because Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6, consummated when she was 9, and then lived with her for the last 9 years of his pathetic life while she was a little girl. And the reason why Christians make such a big hot mess out of this, and this is why Avery was engaging with this guy, is because Muslims believe that Muhammad is the example of what said his life was an example of what everybody should follow. So if Muhammad is marrying some little girl and marrying her and consummating that marriage with her, then therefore it's okay for him or for you as a Muslim to do this. And you can make a strong case for that if anybody ever tried to call you out on it. Somebody's got a hot mic. Was that? I think it's Paul. Paul, got a hot mic? There you go, brother. And it is disgusting. And if you ever want to make a Muslim mad, bring this up. Call Muhammad a pedophile. That will anger. They'll go right to guns on you. They'll call you an Islamophobe. They'll start denigrating everything that you say, and it gets pretty ugly pretty quick. Or the second part is they'll start making every excuse under the sun. And I'm sure many of us have done or at least seen this, where you've engaged in, whether it's a written conversation in a chat or engaging in a forum such as this, where every excuse is made. Well, what is a woman? Aisha was old for her age, or Aisha never complained or said anything ill of the beloved prophet after he died. And, you hear every excuse under the sun protecting what this guy did. But I really don't blame him. Well, I do blame him. Let me rephrase that, because what he did is absolutely disgusting. It really is. And I really do blame him. But at the same time, I really don't blame him completely for what he did to little Aisha. No. And the reason why I don't is because his God, Allah, the supposed God of Islam, the supposed same God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, David, of Jesus Christ, the same God prescribed in his last testament to mankind this provision for men to do this. And this is what just absolutely makes my skin crawl whenever I start thinking about this faith system. It just makes your stomach churn with anger. How dare you enable men, grown men, to do this to little girls? That's right there in their own scripture. It's right there, spelled out, the direct word of God to mankind through Gabriel to Muhammad. This is what they say in 65:4, right here. And what this chapter discusses is the process on how to divorce a woman. And nowhere does it talk about Jesus's admonition or requirements for divorce. No. It just tells you how to do it. You tell them 3 times you're divorced. You can just be unhappy with them, and we're divorcing you. So the idea of divorce and marriage is a completely different concept in Islam than it is in the Judeo-Christian West. But this is the criteria that you have to provide a woman a waiting period of 3 months if you're going to divorce her. And the reason why is to ensure that the woman is not pregnant. She's not pregnant when you divorce her. Therefore, you would have an illegitimate child. Your child would be illegitimate. So you have to wait to ensure that she's not pregnant before the divorce is final. So here in 65:4, it says, and those of you women who have passed the age of monthly courses, for them, Ida, prescribed period, if you have doubts about their periods, is 3 months. So we will be talking about women who have gone through menopause and no longer menstruate. That's what it talks about. Then it goes on to say, and for those who have no courses, and this is Mushikan, prescribed period is 3 months, likewise except of death. And then lastly, it is for those who are pregnant. Their prescribed period is until they deliver their burdens, and whoever fears Allah, Okay. So you have 3 separate categories. You have women who have menstruated, women who have not yet menstruated, and then women who are pregnant. You have to wait until after they deliver the baby before they can be divorced. Something did. Let's look suspect. Where is this from? What is this? Example, at a warehouse of donated sleeping bags refused to distribute bedding. Yeah. It's just sad. Okay, so
Actually, I think this would be a good point to play that David Wood video.
why is that? What was his?
Because you're talking about the attributes of their great and noble prophet, right? How wonderful he is. He's the best example of mankind. David Wood has a few statements on that. That's about 2 minutes long.
Yeah, let me finish up what I'm saying here real quick. Just, and here's the point that I'm trying to make about Avery's video is that it isn't just the example of Muhammad doing this to little Aisha, which is repugnant enough. It's sick to think that this is okay. You have to be sick to think that that is okay. But if the reason why you're thinking that is okay is because God tells you that you can do it, then that's a whole different ball game right there. And he does say this right here in 65:4. It says, and for those who have no courses, they are immature. Their iddah is 3 months. So what this is prescribing is you can marry, consummate this marriage, and divorce a prepubescent girl, a girl who hasn't had her first cycle. You can do this. And if we're confused about this, if you're confused about this and saying, well, that's not what it really says, shut your pie hole. Because the people who are the most trusted commenters on the Quran all agree. They all agree. This means girls who have not yet menstruated. You don't believe me? Let me go ahead and show you what I cut and pasted this morning. You go to Ibn Abbas. It says, believing women and then divorce them before you have sexual intercourse with them. No iddah. Oh, wait. What did I do? Okay, here's Ibn Abbas. I was supposed to move that. Sorry. Ibn Abbas. Their waiting period of those who do not have menstruation because they are too young. You see that? Too young. Too young. Next one. Al-Jalalain. Not menstruated because their young age. And then you go to Ibn Kathir, Allah clarifies the waiting period of women in menopause. Then it goes down here. The same for young and who have not reached the years of menstruation. Their iddah is 3 months, like those in menopause. So you have all three compilers of the task sphere saying that this means little girls. And then if you have any question about, well, that's just only talking about their iddah. No. That's not what it's just talking about. Then you go to Quran chapter 33, verse 49. Oh, you believe when you marry, if you marry believing women and divorce them before you do this to them, then there is no iddah. So the bottom line is that if you consummate the marriage, then you have to provide them an iddah. Who do you have to provide an iddah? Menopause women, prepubescent girls, and women that are already pregnant. That itself is why I would never, ever, ever, ever bow a knee ever to that rock in the middle of the Arabian desert.
You know, I have dealt with Muslims who try to justify that behavior.
Yeah, they all do. Do all of them do that?
They'll use the Bible, and they'll say that Sarah, you've seen it or you've heard it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they use the Bible when they want to justify their perversions, but then it's corrupted if it disagrees with them.
Well, that's the great point. Well, it is because if it disagrees with them, then of course it's corrupted. But the point is that they were talking about, was it Rebecca, the wife of Isaac, was only 3 years old? Is that what you're referring to?
Oh yeah. That's
okay,
it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But look, and it's not true. And forget, we could go through the reasons why it's not true easily.
Yeah.
But the reason why are they trying to do this? Why are they trying to say that Rebecca was only 3 years old, or Mary was only 10 or 12 years old, or whatever, and Joseph was 90 years old? Why are they trying to do this? It's not true. We don't find it anywhere in the Bible. But why are they trying to do this? The reason why they're trying to do this is that they know that this type of behavior only scumbags would do. So if they can show that some of the greatest biblical characters like Isaac, Joseph, that most popular anyway, were scumbags too, then that makes their Muhammad even much less of a scumbag. So it's this moral equivalency is what they're trying to do. So they're saying, well, look, you can't say Muhammad was a scumbag because Isaac was a scumbag too, if you're going to use that criteria. Well, it's not true. But I see why you're doing it. The reason why you're trying to do that is because and this is what's so disturbing about this. They're more moral. Your average Muslim is more moral than Muhammad was because they recognize how abhorrent this type of behavior is. But yet, they let it go.
Well, that's why you have. Well, that's why you have Hold on. That's why you have the Imam who debated David Wood twice on this subject, denying his Islamic sources, every single one. And his proof that Aisha was really older was because some Muslim wrote his opinion that disagreed with all the scholars. So therefore, that was enough for him. And not only that, but then he argues that you can't trust the compilers of the Hadith because they were from Iraq. And, you know, those Iraqis, you know, you can't...
that's where they all were. That's all the Hadith.
Exactly,
So that's
I know,
the problem. Right, yeah.
I know. Dude, I don't understand this. They really, I mean...
Well, let's just take that in, consider that for just a second. Let's pretend. Let's go ahead and pretend that Aisha was not 9. Okay, let's just pretend she was, but let's just pretend she wasn't. But it just isn't Muhammad doing this. This is supposedly the God of the universe, the creator that all there is providing a provision, is setting forth a provision for men to do this to little girls. Because he's saying, he goes, look, we know you marry. This is making the assumption that they do marry little girls. And he's saying that if you marry a little girl that's prepubescent and you consummate that marriage and you want to divorce her before she's had her first flipping period, you have to wait 3 months. It's totally sick. It isn't just Muhammad. Even if you take Muhammad out of the equation and you only incorporate with the Quran, even if you take away the Sunnah, saying you go Quran only, you still have this sick type mentality of what they do to little girls. And for people who are who have daughters and granddaughters yourself, to think that there's men out there that would do these type of things or want to do these types of things, it just enrages you. But to think that ultimately the God of the universe says, well, it's okay as long as you wait 3 months before. No. Oh heck no. You just, in any culture, in any time, this is considered the most despicable type of behavior. This is why pedophiles have to be protected in prison, because everybody recognizes what a piece of garbage they are and what how disgusting the behavior is. And here you have the Prophet of Islam front and center, the poster child for this. Okay. Red, did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, I just think we should have David Wood chime in on some of this.
All right, here he comes. Here we go.
Quick question for all my Muslim friends out there. Last week, I posted a picture of the apostate prophet and me at the Western Wall, and all I said was, who knows where we are? No insults, just a picture. That picture got millions of views because you guys started flipping out and hurling insults and abuse at us. Now, my question is, and I'm completely serious here, how did you look at a picture of David Wood and the apostate prophet standing right outside your third holiest site, knowing how we respond to insults? How did you see us right outside your third holiest site and think it was a really good idea to hurl endless insults and abuse at us? When we can walk right up here on the Temple Mount, right outside the Dome of the Rock, right outside the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and start making fun of that semen-covered, demon-possessed, child-molesting, murdering rapist you worship. Do you have any clue how easy it is to make fun of a pedophile flying a magic donkey monster up here in his delusional fantasies? Knowing how we respond to insults, what made you think it was a good idea to insult and provoke us? Was that smart? Was it shrewd? Was it good tactics? Or was it stupid? Why didn't you think this was a really good time to be nice? You can watch our discussions with Muslims who are being nice. We're nice in response. So why would you go with insults? I'm asking because I know that the videos I record here would have had a significantly different tone if we hadn't spent the entire week getting bombarded with insults. It's just like the war that's going on. You love to start conflicts and then you whine like babies when the response comes. Why don't you just not start conflicts? If you hate the find out part, why do you love the mess around part so much? Why are violence and threats and insults always the solution to absolutely everything you don't like? I'm asking for a friend. And by friend, I mean Israel. Now, because of the choices you made, I'm going to record a video about the Dome of the Rock. Then I'm going to walk over to the Mount of Olives and make a video about why the Quran mentions the children of Israel dozens of times, but never once mentions the children of Palestine.
I would choose the cow.
There you go. That's classic. Going up there and disparaging Muhammad like that. I wonder if the waft, the waft is supposed to be the people who provide security and governance over the Temple Mount. I wonder if they've had to have seen this.
Oh, well, I got to tell you. So I was watching Apostate Prophet and David Wood last night, and they were talking about their trip to Israel. So they got held up. They almost didn't get to go because of Apostate Prophet. Because they told David, yeah, okay, go stand over there. We're going to talk to your friend here. And they're like looking at his American passport because he just became an American citizen, I guess. And they're like, okay, well, where were you born? And he's like, I was born, they're like, it was like, I'm Turkish, but I was born in Germany. So, but your passport says you were born in America. So he's getting flagged right away. And they're going through it and they're asking all kinds of questions like, well, what about your family? Are they still in Turkey? And he's like, well, I don't talk to my family because I'm an apostate from Islam. It's like, well, are you here to show up to free Palestine demonstrations? And he's like, no. And they had to go through the social media and the YouTube channels. But then they asked David Wood. Yeah, they asked David Wood. They're like, okay, so you know him. Have you met his family? Blah, blah, blah. You're friends with him? He's like, yeah. So he picks up his phone and he's like, here, just let me pick one random picture. He scrolls through the phone. You know what I mean? Showing all the pictures. And it lands on Apostate Prophet firing AR-15 at a gun range. So Dave's like, no, not that one. Here, check this one out. But they seriously should have held them up. Well, then, okay, finally, they went through all social media. They went through the videos, okay? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you can come in.
Right, yeah. Come on in. You're the type of people we want.
Oh, and then they ran into David Rappaport. I don't know. He's a lefty comedian that was always going on about the vax and about the what do you call it, the pandemic and everything. Okay, yeah, real idiot. But he's been red pilled now, and he's like, yeah, I'm voting for Donald Trump. He was right. But when they ran into him, dude, and they were partying with David Rappaport, it was kind of funny. But anyway,
well, that's that. I mean, that video is just perfect. It really is. I mean, to go on the Temple Mount, to go up to Islam, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they talk about the Al-Aqsa Mosque being the third holiest site. I think it's actually the Dome of the Rock is the third holiest site. I'm willing to be wrong on that because the Dome of the Rock is actually. The Dome of the Block isn't an independent state. That's true. Thank you for that, Connie. It's true. The Dome of the Rock was not. People really don't know the timeline on this. The Dome of the Rock did not exist at the time of Muhammad. When Muhammad flew, what did he call that? His donkey monster. He flew the donkey monster.
Donkey monster, yeah.
This donkey monster, this Barak, this
semen-stained pedophile prophet on his donkey monster.
Why is this donkey monster up here? It didn't exist. The Dome of the Rock was not constructed until 692, I believe it was. And Al-Aqsa Mosque was not constructed until 705. This is one of those anachronisms that we find all throughout the Quran, but it's just one of the many ones we do. How can you fly a donkey monster 800 miles, or how far it is, to a place that doesn't exist, to something that does not exist?
They actually have this thing where you can go in. So here's some more background stories. So when Omar came and took Jerusalem, he went up to the bishop and he asked him where the old temple.
What year was that?
I don't know. It was like
637, 692.
Yeah, right. Well, he's like, so the archbishop or whatever, the patriarch of Jerusalem's like, yeah, you see that garbage dump over there? That's where it stood. So they literally set up their third holiest place on a garbage dump, on a municipal garbage dump, right? Okay, that's point number one. I find very, very funny. But point number two is they actually have, because in the story, the Muhammad ascended to heaven, and the rocks were trying to follow him up, so he had to push the rocks down, okay, to stop the rocks from following him to heaven. And they actually have a rock that they have encased in a like a, not a shrine, but you can just put your hand in there, but you can't see it. And supposedly you can put your fingertips in Muhammad's handprint where he touched the rock. It's, for a small fee, of course, a donation. You can do this. But
this is in the Dome of the Rock, or is this?
I believe so. Yeah. It's in one of them. It's in one. I forget which one.
Right.
But they just love their rocks in Islam. I don't know why. They love throwing them. They love kissing them. They putting their hands on them. They just
smooching them, right?
Yeah, stone lickers. But yeah. So that's just kind of a funny thing. But I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, these people are just so lost. And
it is, and it really is sad. When you think that the Dome of the Rock is a shrine. It's not a mosque. It's a shrine to Antichrist, because inside the dome itself, that it quotes passages that deny the deity of Christ. It's a say not three. Jesus was only a messenger of Allah. So it's a shrine to deny the deity of Christ is all it is. It does not say one thing. It does not say one thing on those original interambulatories about Muhammad coming and riding this donkey monster, or as Steve calls him, his magic pony, taking his magic pony ride up there. There's not one thing there. And the same holds true with the Al-Aqsa mosque. All of this was built as an afterthought by Muslims. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so I was just thinking about this. Well, I wasn't just thinking about this, but I often think about this. We have the Rock of Ages, who is Jesus Christ, who saves us by his blood atoning sacrifice. Muslims have a black stone. They have a rock that they touch that Muhammad supposedly touched. They have basically just rocks that don't do anything. And Jay Harbor actually and Daughter of Christ, they did a video where they showed Mecca, the mountains of Marwa or whatever they have to go to. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Marwa and Safa. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, because the geography is like the moon, it's like so similar. People were getting confused on which mountain to go to. So the Saudis, they erected this giant obelisk, the cement obelisk. Like, if you're in a shopping mall at an airport, it says "You are here." You know what I mean? And it's supposed to be a place, where the tourists go to visit. And they actually had to put up a sign. Okay, a huge sign that says, "Do not do this. Mistakes people make. This is not the rock of the Kaaba. Do not kiss it. Do not touch it. Do not bow down to it. You do that to the rock of the Kaaba." No, seriously, they had to put the pictograms with the circle and line going through. Do not do this, an explanation. Well, they show all these people, and they're, dude, seriously, this white cement obelisk okay, is all black where they can touch it, because either they've been writing their names on it or in black ink, or just because of the dirt and filth from their hands is just touching it, it's becoming so encrustated with it. But they're actually kissing the cement block that the Saudis put up there. It's like they don't even care. It's like, oh my God, this is a holy rock. It came down from heaven. It's an obelisk like in Space Odyssey 2012. You know.
Yeah. Well, we're going to look at a picture of that.
Okay.
Of not the of the mountains of Marwa and Safa themselves, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the building that they are enclosed in today, which takes me to the next point that we were going to get to. So we've covered UNRWA, the people that we're not calling human swines. We're just calling that the organization is anyway. And then we've also discussed a disgusting teaching of the Quran, which is that you can marry little girls, to consummate that marriage with little girls, prepubescent little girls, and then divorce that same little girl before she's had her I gotta sneeze. Before she's had her first period. It's just absolutely disgusting. And in anybody that is a man who has, knows it has children, has daughters, would rightly be disgusted and be enraged to think that there's some type of permissiveness from some God out there. It's just absolutely, it just angers you. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to focus primarily on the historicity. Paul's not with us, but the historicity of Islam itself. Islam teaches that in 570, Muhammad is born. He's born in the city of Mecca. He grows up in the city of Mecca. He marries some older lady, Khadijah, who's, was it 15 years his senior, I think it turns out. And then in the course of this marriage, he starts receiving revelations from God. He's just meditating one day in a cave, because everybody goes to caves and meditates, don't you see? And he starts receiving these revelations right outside of Mecca. And he goes back to Khadijah, and lo and behold, it turns out that he's a prophet. And so he continues to receive these revelations and becomes this prophet. And the next thing you know, she dies, and then he marries half the women in Arabia. No, I'm kidding. But he marries a bunch of women, gets whatever he wants to, and becomes the most powerful man in all of Arabia, and dies at the age of 60. Or is it 62? I think it is 60, 61, 62. As if because of the poison that he got from the lady at Kaibar. Let's have a meal. Oh, she poisoned us, really? You idiot. So he dies of this. All of it is made up. If I told you all of that is made up, how hard, what is Don, behave now. Where did it go? Right there. That's Cougar Khadijah. That's funny. What was I saying? What if all of that was made up? What type of proof would you have to have in order to demonstrate that all that history that I just said was fabricated? Okay, what would you have to have in order to prove that it was true? Let's just start with Muhammad himself. Is Muhammad a historical figure? Is he somebody that we can demonstrate existed using the historical method? And the historical method is using multiple sources to attest to an event, a person, or a place. So, for an example, if we want to demonstrate that Jesus Christ died on the cross, we would have to have different types of attestation, whether it's in writing. You would have to have something in writing saying that Jesus died on the cross. Well, we have the Gospels, but then you get they're biased. Okay, so we have other writings outside of the Gospels, outside of the Bible, that say that there's this man, Jesus of Nazareth, who professed to be the Son of God, professed to be the Christos, the Christ, was put to death by Pontius Pilate. We have extra biblical sources that say this. We have manuscript evidence that says this outside of the Bible. So I would ask, where is the evidence outside of Islamic sources that say that Muhammad existed, that say that the first three caliphs, or first four caliphs, the Rushidun, the caliphs of the Rushidun period, where's the evidence that they existed? Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that Mecca existed? And this is what we're going to focus on today. You have to have a place, and we have all kinds of evidence to demonstrate that Jerusalem existed in the first century. We have all kinds of evidence that demonstrates that they were ruled by the Romans in the first century. We have all of this evidence that it's just overwhelming. It's what do they call it? An abundance of riches or an embarrassment of riches. There you go. Daniel Wallace told us about the manuscript evidence for it, but just the evidence itself that makes all of the gospel message, the gospel story, the New Testament possible, we can prove. So what type of evidence exists to demonstrate that the message or the timeline, the narrative of Islam is true? Well, the first thing that you have to have is you have to have evidence of the existence of the place where this is supposed to have taken place. And that would be Mecca. So what evidence, extra Islamic evidence, outside of Islamic sources, says that Mecca existed? And there isn't any. All of the sources that have been used to try to establish the existence of Mecca are easily debunked. Diodorus, with a temple that all Arabs go to, that is up around Petra, around Jordan. I mean, it's clear up in northern Arabia. It's not even close to Mecca. Ptolemy's Makaraba is, number one, not the right word. Even in Arabic and etymologically, it's not even the right word. But number two, it's placed east of Medina instead of west. Mecca is southwest. This place is at southeast. It's completely off. And there are all kinds of other examples out there that demonstrate that Mecca did not exist. For an example, you have the writings of many historians and geographers that passed through that area, where they've heard of the regions around Mecca, where they've heard of different towns like Taif, and all kinds of other known towns, Medina, which was Yathrib at the time. They know that these towns existed, but nobody mentions Mecca, especially Strabo, who's coming down with Galus, the Roman general, to conquer Yemen, goes right through that region. And they're trying to find food to feed their army. Nobody mentions Mecca. Nobody. And of all the writings that we have from the Sassanid Empire, the Byzantine Empire, nobody mentions Mecca. It's not in any writing. The earliest writing that it is mentioned in, I believe, is 741. I think that's the earliest time. I'm willing to be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain. I know it's over 100 years after the death of Muhammad before it's mentioned in any writing. But it's not found on a map. The mother of all cities is not found on a map until 900 AD. Are you guys starting to see the problem here? There's no evidence for this. So who came up on mic? Who was that? Was that you, Rad?
I was going to say something. Go. Okay,
so what evidence would demonstrate, if we don't have anything in writing, Why not just go to the source itself? Why not go to ground zero itself? Why not go to Mecca itself? Well, they have, as a matter of fact. Thank you for asking. Whoops, I don't have this up here, right? Let me excuse me. Holy cow. Where are we? We're right there. Okay, so let me bring this up. Okay, let me go to, this is a picture of Mecca today. Right here is the Kaaba. And right over here, for those of you that you don't know, is the Zamzam well. You know, the well that, who was it, Hagar? Is it Hagar? Yes, Hagar was running in between the mountains of Safa and Marwa, or this might be Safa and this might be Marwa, but she was running in between these two mountains 7 times before she discovered the Zamzam well, which is only 30 meters from the Kaaba itself, which makes all the sense in the world that if she was cast out by Abraham, that she wouldn't have gone and knocked on somebody's door that lived around this area, right? Right. But if you look at Mecca today, I got to sneeze, doggone it. Excuse me. Okay, so if you look at Mecca today, what are all these things that are being built around here? My goodness, there's a lot of building going around there. And in order to build something this tall, this is, they say this is the world's 4th tallest building, I think. I might be wrong on that, but I think that's what we've been told, that this is the world's 4th tallest building. And you have all of these skyscraper hotels being put up all around the Kaaba. So when people come in and do their pilgrimage and they walk around the black stone here at the Kaaba, which is purely monotheistic religion, walking around a stone in the middle of the desert, that's pure monotheism. Don't think that that's paganism at all. It's nothing but pure monotheism. When they went to build these buildings, they had to do something that every building has to do, is you have to set a foundation. And so when they go to set this foundation, look what they had to do. They actually, here's ground level right here, folks. That's ground level. That's the ground. Look what they had to do. They had to dig down. They had to dig down into the Meccan ground. That'll be a song. They had to dig down into the Meccan ground to find what? To find artifacts that would establish the antiquity of Mecca, because this right here, this Kaaba right here, according to the Quran, folks, was rebuilt by Muhammad and Ishmael. So therefore, all of this, and this being a 4,000-year-old city or 4,000-year-old structure, would mean that everything around there would have some type of archaeological existence. There's something in the ground would demonstrate the antiquity of this great city. But what have they found? Does anybody know what they found? Nothing. Absolutely zero. Whenever you are required to dig, or whenever you go out and you build anything, especially around ancient cities, for example, Greece, when they went to build all of those new structures for the 2000 Olympics in Greece, they had dug up, because they had to, they were digging new subway lines, they were building new buildings. Every time that spade went into the ground, they were digging up artifacts of some sort. They had so many artifacts, they couldn't put them in a museum anymore. They had to build display cases for them in the subway systems themselves to show off the artifacts. That's how many artifacts they found. They ran out of room to put all these artifacts in. And you would think that a city that is supposed to exist for 4,000 years would have artifacts laying all over the place. And an easy one to find would be to go down into the Zamzam well, because that's the Zamzam well that it's completely covered in the Kaaba or in this structure here today. The Zamzam well sits, where is it? I think it's over here someplace, but it's under the floor. They built a floor above it. So the Zamzam well, but if you went down into the Zamzam well, you would think that you would find some sorts and forms of pottery of some sort to demonstrate the antiquity of it. But it's not there. What is this? This is a true story to this day. Who are you talking about here, Nico? I was going to say Jimmy Hoffa. No, they didn't find Jimmy there. Yeah, they literally lying around in various places because so many were under. Yeah, you're exactly. Yeah, that was really surprising to me how many artifacts that they did discover in Greece when they did that. So you would think that they would have just as many to brag about and brag upon from the city of Mecca, especially if you're digging this deep in such a close proximity to such a holy shrine. You would think that they would take care to do that, but no, nothing. They have nothing. The earliest artifact they have, I think, is from a 13th century, 14th century Ottoman fort, and that's it. That's all they have. So when we start talking about the historicity of Islam itself, it's so easily provable that it is false, just on that one accord right there. And I'm not sure why. I gotta sneeze again. Excuse me. I'm not sure why more people don't use it, unless I'm wrong. Unless there has been artifacts that have been unearthed there in this myriad and mountains of dirt that exist there, and it's even publicized. People know what's going on there. Saudi Arabia bulldozed over its heritage. They know what's happening here. The destruction of historical sites in Mecca, Medina, the cradle of Islam, the destruction of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and the destruction of Islamic cultural heritage. Saudi Arabia destroyed 98% of its cultural heritage. It's drive to destroy the sites of Islam. You got Khadijah's house, the cemetery, all these things. As Ephesus 1400 years has effaced demolition of its most oldest sites. It's crazy. And nobody is, and does anybody know why they would? What would be the reason why you would do this? Well, if you knew,
because there's no history there,
right? If you know there's no history there, then of course you're going to want to destroy the evidence of not having in history. Because in order to demonstrate there's a history there, all you have to do is dig down. I mean, if you go to anywhere in Israel, if you go almost any place in Israel, you are going to find some type of archaeological evidence for the existence of a town or some type of civilization or village in an area, without exception. Well, even in places like we went to one when we were over there, it's called Tel Dan. This one is clear up in northern Israel. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's like in this park, and it's this huge mound and it's supposed to date back. It's supposed to date back 4,000 years, if I'm not mistaken. And they have things all over the place that they've dug up. Well, if this is supposed to date back 4,000 years, where's the evidence? Any evidence? Something. But they don't produce. They can't produce anything. Why? Because they know it's a farce. Okay, that is all I have for today. Unless anybody has anything that they want to add to this, we can cut the show short. We don't have to go full 2 hours. Anybody? I think I'm putting everybody to sleep. Brad is warm.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think about the existence of Muhammad? Because a lot of people will question that. Because, I guess they say there's what do you call it? A coffin or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure. But, you know, there's just no evidence for that either for him.
I got to sneeze again. I'm sorry.
Go
Oh, my
for it.
goodness.
God bless you.
Thank you. I don't think that Muhammad existed either. If you're going to attribute Muhammad to Mecca, let me put it this way, the historical Muhammad, the Muhammad that we are told that existed from Islamic sources, did not exist. And simply because Mecca did not exist. I mean, you can't have one without the other. You have to have, if he lived in Mecca, grew up in Mecca, started receiving his revelations in Mecca. So therefore, if Muhammad did this, you have to place Muhammad somewhere, and you can't. Also, it's come out that Muhammad is a title. It's not even a proper name. It was a title. It's the praise.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember reading about that. Yeah.
So even then, it has no historical basis on it. You don't have any mention of Muhammad. You don't have any mention of Muhammad or the four rightly guided caliphs. The first mention of anybody leading the Muslims, I believe, was Muawiyah in 670, 660 something.
Are you saying Muawiyah?
Yeah, nobody mentions outside of Islamic sources Ali, Uthman, Omar, or Abu Bakr. Nobody. There's nothing out there in any of the sources outside of Islamic literature mentioning the four rightly guided caliphs. The ones that conquered almost the entire known world within 100 years. No, never heard of them. Nobody wrote about this.
Yeah.
Don't you find that a little bit curious?
Yeah.
So I would say no, Sharon. I would say that the historical Muhammad, maybe there was somebody that is known as Muhammad. It might have been. Jay Smith has made a couple videos that I've watched that alludes to the involvement of Jesus into a prophetic character, being the praised one. There was creating the Quran. I've been in the process. I'm terrible.
Wow, if that's the case, they really perverted Jesus.
Yeah, it's coming out that Islam is nothing more than a perverted version of or a corrupted version of Christianity. What was I going to say about? I just had something on my lips about that. As a matter of fact, when you look at the earliest Quran itself, is the Sana manuscript. The Sana manuscript, found in Yemen, 1975, has been carbon dated. Folks, you can't make this up. It's been carbon dated that predate Islam itself. It's pushed by 2 centuries. It's some of the carbon dates that come back on it are in, I think, like 370 or 400 or something like that. How can you have a Quran before the Quran was revealed, supposedly, historically? But what was more fascinating about the Sana manuscript is the palimpsest. And the palimpsest, the overwriting, or it has underwriting where people have washed off what was on top. Well, they were able to use ultraviolet light and see what was under the underwriting, and the underwriting does not match the overwriting. So the Quran we have today in the Sana manuscript, the oldest manuscript that we have today of the Quran, does not match the original Quran. It's all different. So, there's so many problems here for people. You could stay completely away from the disgusting things that Muhammad did and still easily disprove Islam as a faith, as a legitimate faith system. I mean, it's really not that tough. One of the things that we were talking about this morning, as a matter of fact, our sermon in church this morning was about being more Christ-like and giving more grace to people when they make mistakes. And this is what you want to do for Muslims. I mean, you cannot, how do I say this? You cannot know these simple things about Mecca, You cannot know these simple things about the Quran, these simple things that even the Kafir know about Muhammad, and still believe that it's all true. You cannot possibly believe that it's true. And your heart just, it hurts for people that are that blinded. Now they're blinded for several reasons, whether it's, just the social constructs that they're put in. They really don't have any other alternative. So they have to believe it. They have not been taught Christianity, the truth about Christianity. They've been lied to their entire life. That's why they believe it. But the ones that do or have been taught Christianity and have been the proper tenets of Christianity, that do know these things about the Quran, about Mecca, about Muhammad, and they still believe it. Those people, I mean, there's no other way to explain it than some type of spiritual blindness. There really isn't. To think that it's okay that a God of the universe would put in his word, making it legal, making it permissible for somebody my age to do this to a little girl, knowing that in the future men would do these things to little girls. And to think that's, you have to be spiritually blinded to believe that.
Yeah, something, if you look at a lot of the really bad ideologies, what do they go after? They go after children,
I can't, and that's what you instinctively as an adult, what you do is you protect children. And to think that this provides a provision in which you could prey upon them, it allows men to prey upon them. I just can't get there. There's no part of me that can ever get there to say that that's okay, ever. What did Connie say here? That she said, I didn't even read. So the conquered lands like Iraq has no history that Mo was there and made it an Islamic country. Muhammad never made it to Iraq. The traditions state, the Islamic traditions state that it was Ali that, well, actually Iraq, Baghdad did not become a capital of Islam until the Abbasid Empire or the Abbasid Caliphate, which was about 730 on, almost a full century after the death of Muhammad. It's even later than that. The Abbasids are even later than that. I can't remember the exact date. And the Abbasids, the first capital of Islam was not in Mecca. It was not in Medina. It was in Damascus. That's where Muawiyah had his capital, was in Damascus, was up in Syria. So why are you clear up in Syria? I mean, if you're going to be the capital, why aren't you down in Mecca? Why aren't you down in Medina? This caused him to question a lot of things. And then it was moved to Baghdad into Iraq during the Abbasid, or with the Abbasids, the Abbasid Caliphate. So when we ask, is there evidence that Muhammad conquered Iraq? No, Muhammad didn't even conquer Jerusalem. It wasn't until the second caliph, Omar, conquered Jerusalem. And then for the next 100 years, they go clear up into Spain, up into France, tours France, and they go clear east and is into what is now India, and conquered all of that land. But it was not Muhammad. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? Rad?
I got something to say.
Shock.
Yeah. I was sharing something.
No. That's not that video of that guy thing.
No.
All right.
Although I should do that because that's funny.
I'm censoring you again.
Yeah. All right. So this is that. It's Mount Arafah. Okay. I guess it's a few miles away from Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the culmination of the Hajj. You have to stand there for a day. Anyway, that's the pillar. You see
right.
the pillar?
Yep.
You see that wraparound thing they have on it?
Yep.
That's actually the sign. Here, check out this picture. You see how black it is?
Yep.
That's because they're either writing on it or they're grubby hands and around touching it and stuff. And check this one out. Oh, dude, it's just a poured cement concrete block.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Allah, this is so holy. The Saudis put it there.
What is it? What's it a monument for?
No, it's just a marker because here, look.
What's it a marker of?
Here.
I don't understand.
No, it's just okay. So look, here's Mount Arafat. Here's a picture. See, this mountain looks the same as the mountain in the background. There's no difference. So how are you gonna know where you're going? Okay.
Okay. So is this where he gave his? Is this where Muhammad supposedly gave his last sermon?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
But anyway, so they had to put this there for the tour guides because nobody knew where the hell they were going. And who even knows that this is the original Mount Arafat anyway? They don't know.
Well, they don't.
Anyway, yeah. So they had to put up this big. It's it's like a thing in the mall when you're at the shopping mall and says you are here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as you can see, okay, blah blah. But that hasn't always been there. But they had to put it up because people are like worshiping at it, and they're like, no, wrong stone, kid. Here, let's see. This is it. Yeah. You can see it where they got like different pictures. Do not do this.
Right.
Well, that's how foolish these people are. Anyway.
Yeah, it's pure monotheism, don't you see it? This is nothing pagan about doing that at all. It's I mean, look how holy these people are in their robes and
they're selling their trinkets and stuff. You gotta have the right kind of needs, you know. Gotta make a buck.
Well,
I have a question. Did you see Jake the Metaphysician versus John Dyer on Modern Day Debate? They were debating Tawhid versus the Trinity.
No.
I think it's an interesting conversation because Jake the Metaphysician was accused of doing anthropomorphism because Salafis do that. They do this thing called tashbih where they're like saying that God has a literal hand. And it's an interesting conversation because the accusation to the Christian is, hey, you're saying God is a man. Well, are you also saying God is a man? So it's an interesting kind of debate.
They're using anthropomorphic language to describe Allah. Is that
because they say, because Ibn Qayyim says God's hand is literally God's hand. So thus it must be a hand. God's throne is a throne, thus it must be literally a throne.
Right.
So the accusations against Christians, it doesn't really work because if you're accusing a Christian of doing anthropomorphism, then are you also doing anthropomorphism too?
Yeah, Salafis believe. Yeah, Salafis actually believe that Allah has literal parts, but they don't ascribe the howness, just the wideness. Seriously,
isn't this where he has like two shins or something?
Two right hands.
Yeah,
because.
Yeah. I don't really pay attention to that. I mean, it's just to me, it's just stupid. You know, you want to sit there and describe your.
This is what destroys Islam, though, because if Allah has literal parts, what are those parts? Okay. And is Allah's both his right hands separate?
So what is it? What was Jake's excuse for this? What's the rescuing device of it? The CISA? What was it?
Well, he's just kind of making it. He doesn't really say anything real. That's the thing that kind of blew my mind. He's just like, it's not. It's pretty much what Rad said. It's like, oh, we're just talking about the kayfiyya. It's the howness, and I'm like, but are you doing it or not? It's just like they're trying to say it and then trying to double back from it. And it doesn't work.
Well, and this is where, when you start getting into these types of debates, there's always some form of, I don't know, some type of rescuing device that they come up with. And this by the sounds of things, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You can come up with a rescuing device just about with anything. But when you look at the concrete side of Mecca and its non-existence, there is no rescuing device for no archaeological evidence for Mecca. You can't rescue if it's supposed to be. I mean, let's just pretend that it existed in the 7th century. Let's just pretend. where is the the artifacts, the archaeological evidence that support that? There is none. So you don't have a rescuing device. With here, when you start talking about some of the basic theology that they use as far as the anthropomorphic language, is this from the Quran, or is this language from? Well, it is. It says Quran 68:42. Okay, so there is. I guess it is anthropomorphic from the Quran itself. There's always some type of excuse, some type of interpretation that somebody can use. There is no interpretation of the non-existence of any evidence for your religion. You just simply cannot get around that. You have to, if you're going to say that Mecca existed in the 7th century, you have to demonstrate it. You have to be able to provide some type of evidence for it.
Well, the whole anthropomorphic thing of Islam with the Salafis is actually very devastating to Islam, because even so here's the funny thing. There was, back in the day in Islam, when Islam was first coming about, there was this group called the Mutazilites, and the Mutazilites actually argued against the 99 attributes of God. As a matter of fact, there was actually like a civil war almost. I mean, they imprisoned, they beat them, they tortured them. The Mutazilites did it to the Salafi, or not, they weren't Salafis back then, but they did it to the Tahidi Muslims, and then the Tahidi Muslims did it to the Mutazilites, but eventually the Tahidi Muslims won out. But the problem is that if Allah has actual parts, and his throne is literal, then the throne is eternal. Then his arms and his shin are eternal. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, there is this physical attribute, to this God, that is not in the physical world. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So whenever they bring up the triune God of Scripture, and this is why I think this is important, here's the thing. When we talk about the triune God, we say that there is nothing like God, right? He is unique. There's nothing like God in all of creation. So therefore, a triune God, which is 3 persons in one entity, is unique, right? There is nothing like that in creation. And that's all you need to say. And any argument against that uniqueness of God is an argument, for a God that is like creation. And that's what Muslims have. They have a God that is like creation. It has physical arms. It has an eye. True, it's a freaky creature. It's like a Mr. Potato Head, with 2 right arms and a shin and an eye and a mouth. And I don't know, does he have 2 ears? I forgot. But either way, it's a freakish kind of creature. But this freakish kind of creature actually exists in the spiritual world as a physical thing. And you can't get around that. And that's what will trip most Muslims up. But we need to have more arguments like that, because it really is. I think it is really devastating. But I should see if we can get Anthony Rogers to come on the show to explain it to you, because he can do a good job of it. But I just want to do a real quick side note. This is pretty freaky. It's being reported on the Twitters. An active duty member of the U.S. Air Force sets himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington. I will no longer be complicit in genocide, he says. While on fire, he repeatedly yells, "Free, free Palestine." Yep, that's Biden's army there.
Okay, no. You said that he was in the Air Force.
Biden's Air Force, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. No.
Yeah, well, you got you got the tranny brigade in the army now, so thanks.
Yeah, okay. I'm retired, so okay. Let's see. Because I gave a ride to a member of this channel. What is this? This is interesting. We had a ride to a member of this channel. Unfortunately, I have very, very little knowledge about what you guys talk about. However, I appreciate your conversation. Well, thank you for coming, Marcus. It was very, very nice of you to post that in there. And I'm not going to ask who you gave a ride to, because you might incriminate yourself. But I appreciate you coming. Okay, so we're going to call it a night. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. We are going to be here next week. Yes, we are. Even though spring break is coming up, we are going to be here next week. So God bless everybody. Thank you, everybody, for
I
coming.
just want to make one quick comment. If you want to go to Medina, there is one in North Dakota. So much closer.
Okay, don't go, Darcy, don't go until July.
Yeah, I've been there. Cute little tourist trap.
Yeah, we don't want people to get frostbite. Also, if you like this channel, like it, share, comment on there, drive the algorithm for us. Any type of attention on YouTube would be appreciated. Muslims don't like Allah retribution due to, yeah, thank you, Connie. All right, God bless you guys. We'll see you next week on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.
That's all, folks.